right.
the
They were
river.
like surviving.
Yeah, but
that's crazy.
They weren't thriving. Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our savage take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Yep.
Hello!
Hello!
We're back with another episode. Have we
Yes, we are.
recovered from the election episode?
Oh, God.
Have we had any? I haven't looked at any comments.
I haven't seen any yet, but it goes
Oh, it hasn't been publicly
it goes
released
public
yet.
today.
Interesting.
So-
I wonder if we're going to lose any
Oh.
lovely followers.
Probably, but you know what? They shouldn't be following us in the first
Yeah,
place.
I would be shocked if we had Trumpers following us. We have talked way too much trash about
This is true. I do recall we did an episode on gun.
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and someone commented and they were like, "Everyone should get guns. You two are fucking crazy," or something.
We do get like the odd rando
Yeah.
sometimes. It's very interesting. Yeah, we're definitely not like popular enough to attract a bunch of like weirdos. But you know, who knows? But yeah, I
scared.
do remember I remember when we talked about that kid remember when there was like riots and then that kid, what's his name?
Fuck.
You know who I'm talking about? That kid that like shot people and he like killed two people
Yeah.
and then he was like acquitted. You need help, Daniel?
No, it's just like this mic is just like
Is it a bit uncomfortable?
because it's just there we go.
Okay,
I think
there you
that's
go.
better.
I can't remember his name,
Yeah.
but and then we did an episode about that and people lost their shit.
Yeah, because it was the guy that was like adorned to be like a hero.
Yes.
But then people were like, because he killed some people, and they were like, because there was a lot of controversy around what he had done.
Yes, but
And
a lot of people were on his side.
Yeah, on the hero camp side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, but yeah, Trump's gonna be president of the
Trump's in
United
office.
States.
Wonderful. Or he's going to be in office.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I think they do the inauguration January.
Oh, yeah.
So
So I don't know if I've recovered, but I think the shock has settled in.
Oh,
Still depressed, but you know, what are we
Yeah.
going to do?
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully your neighbors
Well-
down south are okay. you
Well,
know?
speaking of Trump, this guy went viral. So first story. Well, first of all, before we jump
let's
in.
not get too excited
quickly,
here, Rose.
guys, make sure you follow us on Patreon.
Yep.
You get ad-free content every week. You get every episode a week earlier than everybody else, and a bonus episode only for Patreon members every
That's
single
correct.
month.
We still have to do our November one, Rose.
Yeah, we got to do one. Maybe
Figure
next
out-
week we film too. Well, sometime, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's already November 18th today.
I
It's
can't
a bit
even believe
crazy, innit?
how fast this month is flying.
Every month I'm like, how is it already this time of
Yeah,
year?
it's wild.
So it's a bit shocking. But yes. So anyway, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. And what else, Daniels? What's going on next year in August?
Is there something going on in August, Rose?
I'm going to kill you.
So guys, if you don't know already, check it out. There will be a link in the show notes. Rose and I are hosting a Canadian Rockies trip in August 2025.
Yeah.
No, it's a little ways away. It's but you should book. The spots are filling up.
Yes.
And check it out. It's going to be amazing. We're going to Banff, Lake Louise, all the kind of like hot spots.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. And August is like the perfect time to visit the Canadian Rockies. So
Yeah.
definitely check out the link so you can join us for a hiking and camping trip
Yes.
in the Canadian Rockies. All right. So speaking of Trump,
Oh, yes.
this guy, Nick Fuentes, have you heard of this guy?
Nope.
So I've heard of him before because
He's kind of cute.
you're not going to think he's cute after this.
No.
First of all, he is a known white supremacist.
Oh, God.
And he's kind of like basically like a Nazi,
Oh,
like a modern day Nazi, maybe.
God. I take back what I said.
Yeah. And he of course has a podcast like every other Nazi man out
Yeah.
there. And he went viral recently because after Trump won, he did this video. Now, I don't know the context of the video.
Yeah.
I don't know the context, but obviously he was talking about, women, and I think he was happy that Trump won.
Yeah.
And he did this rant saying something like, "Your body, my choice."
Yeah.
That's right. So basically, he's like, there will never ever be a female president. Guys win again. Your body, my choice.
Yeah.
So he did this video, and so this went viral on like TikTok and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so obviously, like that pisses off, you know,
a lot of people,
like half the population, essentially.
Yeah.
And then what happened was the internet did its internet thing.
Yeah.
And he got doxxed, which means his address and home got
Leaked.
Oof. And then he started to get confronted at his home. So apparently, police confirmed that they responded to a call involving white nationalist Nick Fuentes and a woman who appeared to show up at his Illinois home Sunday unannounced after he was doxxed online.
Fuck.
So basically, Marla Rose, 57, said that she was about to ring Fuentes' doorbell when he opened the door, sprayed her with a liquid, took her phone and pushed her down the steps and went back inside. So I think probably a lot of people were going to his house.
Right.
And
what does he expect, guys? Like, what
Yeah.
a fucking idiot. And also, like, what a horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and even in the picture, he has his hat on. I hate this.
I know.
This hat, the
I
Make
know.
America Great Again.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys. It's
Oh
just.
God. And then he said, Fuentes hinted at the incident by reposting an X post by Tristan Tate, alt-right influencer Andrew Tate's brother, of course, that read, "If a man turned up at a pro-choice woman's house to confront her about her views, she could literally shoot him dead and nobody would care." He also reposted an X post by far-right commentator Candace Owens, who wrote about the... I gotta love all these people. She is lucky she wasn't in a stand your ground state or she could have been shot. So yeah,
I love Candace Owens.
I love all these people.
I hope there's some, you guys, like on a side note, I really want there to be another Candace Owens story. Like I want her to do
I don't
something
think it'll stop.
No, it won't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny now because like it's funny just doing this podcast and stuff and talking
Yeah.
about this. It's like we know who all these people are now. Like maybe my old self I wouldn't have known fully, but now it's like we've done episodes literally on Tristan and Andrew Tate,
Yeah.
Candace Owens, all of these fucking people, and now probably this Nick Fuentes. I'm guessing he's gonna be rolling around, doing things. You know what somebody's comment was on the YouTube video that I really loved?
Oh, just now?
Yeah, the
What
one
was
that we
it?
pulled up, and it was somebody had commented, Nick Fuentes goes to prison, and it goes, your anus, our choice.
Oh God. Anyway, he's a despicable human being.
Yeah,
That's what he is.
hate it.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
Crazy.
yeah. Guys win again. Oh.
And then he's like, your body, our choice.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
God.
fuck you.
Just terrible. Just terrible.
Oh no, what is this?
Oh, God dang,
no,
what would this be?
Okay.
Before we go into this story, I have a little bit of it's an older story,
Okay.
but it's crazy. It blew my mind. Okay. It literally blew my mind. It's a real story. There's a documentary that just got released on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Did you
called-
watch the
I did, yeah.
Of course you did.
I did, yeah. It's called The Lost Children.
The Lost Children.
Yes. Now I'm going to give you guys a trigger warning because I'm going to reveal what happens in this documentary.
You mean you're going to give a spoiler alert?
Spoiler alert.
Not a well, is it also a trigger warning?
not
is it
really.
Okay.
No.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Daniel, English first language.
Second. So basically this story, so guys, if you don't want to know, just like stop,
Fast forward.
go watch it, then watch this podcast. So
Well,
basically,
I haven't seen it. Damn, Daniel. Okay, it's okay. You can tell the story.
are you going to watch it?
Maybe I will.
Well, you should still watch it. It's a
okay.
great show, a great documentary.
Okay, so what happened?
So basically, there was a plane that was flying across. It was in Colombia. So there's a plane flying across the Amazon rainforest.
Right.
The plane goes down.
Oh God.
There was a mother on there with 4 children.
What year was this?
May 2023.
Oh, so like
Last year.
recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this plane goes down. And it was a mom. There was a bunch of people on
4
this plane.
children.
4 children. The kids' ages were 11, 6, 4, and 11 months old.
Oh God.
Plane goes down. Everyone's freaking out. They're like, we have to find this plane. Like
Sure.
there was kids. There was other people on there too. I can't remember who the other people were on the plane, but anyway, so they end up finding the plane and they're like, shit. Like they had the military involved, all this stuff. They find the plane. They find a bunch of dead bodies.
Oof.
So they're like figuring out who the dead bodies are and stuff. And then they look over and they're like, oh shit, somebody has gone through the suitcases.
Oh,
They're like,
okay.
clearly people were like scrambling in the suitcases. Something was going on. And then they're like, where are the kids?
Sure.
The
So
kids
the
aren't
mother and the kids, or just the kids?
Just the kids.
The kids,
Mom
the
was
4
dead.
kids have disappeared.
Yeah. 4 kids disappeared.
Including the baby.
Yes.
Wow.
So they're like, holy shit, there's 4 kids. Like, what do you do? And like, in this documentary, guys, like, I don't think we can fully, people probably know this, but like, in case you haven't been there, like parts of the Amazon rainforest,
yeah.
it's not like an easy forest to walk through. Like the jungle is so dense that you actually need like a machete or something to even like just cut. You can't just like walk through it.
Right.
It's like crazy.
Right. So they were like stuck in this kind of region.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Where
it
it's
was
very difficult to kind of walk through.
very dense, very like, very that. Yeah. So they're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So
out of the, sorry, I keep interrupting,
No,
but
it's
I have
fine.
a lot of questions.
Okay.
So out of this plane, only the 4 kids were missing.
yes.
No one else. Everyone else was accounted for.
Yes.
Okay. Continue.
Everyone else was dead.
That's actually fascinating. Uh-huh.
So anyway, not long story short. So basically all this is going on. It's crazy. They have the military involved. So the military goes in, and this region as well is a bit sketchy in Colombia because there's also like guerrilla terrorists and all this
Sure.
other shit going on. Anyway, so they like send the military out there to find the kids.
Uh-huh.
Military searching, they're not having any luck. And then they're like local people that are like more familiar with the jungle, you know, they kind of like start searching as well, and they start to find signs. Like they found like a baby bottle at one point, all this
Right.
stuff. They're like, holy shit, like we think these kids are alive.
Right. Of course.
So we're
Somebody
like-
went through the suitcases.
Exactly. So they're like, okay, we need to find these kids. So the military's like searching. 1 week goes by. 2 weeks goes by. Finally, 3 weeks goes by, and the military's like, okay, this isn't working what we're doing. Like,
Yeah.
we need to get like the local people to help us as well because they know the
Okay.
jungle better.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of a moment in history because there's a lot of turbulent relationships between the like local people and the military.
Okay.
So they all partnered together and they started looking for these kids. And they get to day 35. They still haven't found these kids.
Okay.
They're like, holy shit.
So is this day 35 after the crash or day 35 after they discovered the crash?
Day 35 after the crash.
After the
Yeah.
crash. Okay.
So there's
it's been like a month, essentially.
A month and 5 days.
Sure.
So they're like, holy shit. And at this point, they're like flying planes with like speakers being
They're
like.
doing all kinds of shit.
Exactly. They're like trying to find. It was huge effort.
How come I've never heard of this story?
I know. I was shook. I was
God,
shook.
we need to get better news
I know.
sources.
It literally.
How have we not heard this?
It's one of the biggest stories in Colombia in years.
Right. Okay. Continue.
So everybody's like freaking out, and it was kind of cute. They called the Operation Hope. So it was because it was like between like the low. Anyway, so time is going on, and this part of the documentary was really funny. So the local people are like, "Look, we're gonna have to do something different." Like they take turns doing because they're like, we're not finding the kids that are in our traditional way. We need to like talk to the spirits and whatever else.
Oh, I see.
So they decide to go and take some ayahuasca. You know, like that stuff.
Wow.
That, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so the one guy does it. Nothing happens. The second
Sure.
guy does it, and he is like, it was going up to day 40, and it was the next day was day 40, and at that point they were like, guys, we need to stop. Like we can't go on forever doing this. They were like, this is our last day to look, and the guy said, we're gonna find them tomorrow. Like this was day 39. He goes, tomorrow we're gonna find them at 3 p.m. I had a vision.
Okay.
They're in the northwest. When I was high on ayahuasca, they were in the northwest quadrant. Blah 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 blah. So like, okay, cool. So they all set out and they kind of like split up. Whatever. Groups start coming to the main camp. Nobody's finding the kids. Finally, this last group.
On day 40.
Day 40, fucking finds the kids.
Oh my God.
All 4 of them are alive.
How?
It's insane.
Okay.
So
what were they doing? Like, how are they like
So
what?
they weren't healthy, obviously.
Yeah.
Like the boy was like pretty much.
So wait, what was the oldest one?
I think she was like 11, I want to say.
Okay, so very young children.
11. I think the one girl was 6 or 5 and the boy was 4. And then the
an
one
11-month old.
Yeah. So they're all still alive, miraculously. They showed videos because it was like video footage of like the kids and
Right.
stuff. They looked, oh God, it was so sad.
They were so skinny.
Yeah.
Right.
They look like, you know those videos where you see like concentration camps?
Yes,
Like
yes.
that was them. Because they
Right,
weren't.
because like they weren't eating.
Yeah, well, the main girl, the 11-year-old, I guess her mom had taught her like what fruits they can eat, so they were trying to like find fruit and stuff. And
Right.
she said that she made some kind of makeshift fishing rod
Oh
and
my-
like caught fish, and they were like eating raw fish. Like they were just like eating it from the
Right.
river.
They were like surviving.
Yeah, but I
that's
mean,
crazy.
They weren't thriving, but they were
Yeah,
definitely.
obviously.
And they said the rescuers were like, if they had found them like maybe a day or two later, like the
They
boy
would've-
the
right.
boy would have been dead for sure. The
like the
4-year-old.
the 4-year-old.
The 11-month-old, maybe.
I mean, what was the 11-month-old eating?
I
Because
have
like, can they
no-
even eat like anything?
I
Like,
have no fucking idea. But anyway, it was shocking. My mind was blown. I
that's
was like,
insane.
I was like, guys, like honestly, and also it was showing video like as they were like searching and stuff. And some of the days, like it was the rainforest, right? There were some days it was like torrential fucking
Yeah.
downpour, all this stuff. Imagine how scared they would
but
have
did
been.
did the kids tell like stories of
Yeah.
how they managed?
The daughter, the 11-year-old was
Sure.
talking about it, and she kind of talked through like that's where she made the fishing rod. She like would try to find fruits. She knew that her priority was the 11-month-old because
Right.
she's like if we get found, and then this is really sad. They were like flying these speakers over, and it was their grandma being like, "Go to the water, like we'll wait," but they couldn't. You can't really hear it when you're down in the jungle.
Right.
So they were like following these planes, but then the planes were obviously going. So then they were like going in circles.
Right.
So that's why nobody was like finding them right away.
Right.
It was crazy. Everyone in the Columbia, it was like it shook the nation.
They were Colombian.
yeah, they're locals. It was all like a
Woo!
local.
That is insanity.
40 days in the rainforest.
And we're talking about children,
Yes.
like not even teenagers,
young
like
children. And people were like talking about like how they have spirits and stuff, and like they were like the spirits like protected them in the forest, and like it's kind of wild. Like I don't know, it was a crazy story.
Yeah.
I was shook.
That is insane. And well, what's insane to me is how did all 4 of them survive the crash?
Exactly.
That's already like a weird miracle.
Yeah,
Because like everyone else died. I don't know how many people died. Do you know how many people
I
died?
think it was like 4. It was a small plane.
Oh, very small plane.
Yeah, it was a tiny plane.
So it was like a private plane?
It wasn't like it was like an old rickety like kind of plane kind of thing.
This is why I'm afraid of those planes.
Yeah.
So I guess not. Okay, so not many people died.
No.
Okay, so you made
wasn't-
it seem like it was a whole plane full of
Oh,
people,
no,
and
it
only
wasn't
4
like-
people survived.
It wasn't a commercial flight.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I should have started the story
Yeah.
with that, guys. But anyway, even still, it's like
Even still,
I think the 11-year-old had like a cut on her leg or something from the fall, but that's about it. Like they were all fine.
That's crazy.
Their mom died, which was really sad.
Yeah.
She like died basically in front of them.
Yeah, that's so insane.
Like fuck, and honestly, to see them, they were like emancipated. Like
Yeah,
is it
that's
called
hard.
emancipated. Like when they're like super skinny,
Emaciated?
Emaciated. That's the word.
Emaciated?
And you could see like all of their collarbones. Their arms were like, oh my god,
Right.
it was so sad.
and somehow they were surviving. Wow, the
Not
human
for much
body.
longer though. Apparently, 1 or
Yeah.
2 more days later, they would
Thank
have
God
been dead.
they found them.
Fuck.
Yeah, because like they were gonna stop the search the day after.
That day that they found them was the day they were going to stop the search.
Yeah, because they probably thought they're dead already.
Yeah, they were like by day
right?
40, you're like,
Yeah.
you're not living in the jungle.
Oh my god.
The whole literally.
so many stars are aligned.
Yeah, everybody in Colombia at that time was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And the one positive that kind of came out of it, obviously it's great that the kids survived, but also it like kind of reestablished like trying to mend relationships between like the local
Right.
like Aboriginal peoples and the like military.
Yeah.
So
Woo!
I thought that was kind of, it was
Well, I'm still gonna watch
I know
watch
it was
the documentary.
It was so interesting.
Mhm.
I was like, literally, I was like, there's no way they're surviving. There's no way they're surviving. And then they found them, and I was like, what the?
Oh my god.
Yeah, nuts.
That's crazy.
So, yeah,
I think
watch
the
the
age
documentary,
as
guys.
well is like really like
That's what's
blows my
insane.
mind. That 11-year-old is going places. God
I
damn.
know. And she was like, but she was so young. I don't even know.
Yeah, I couldn't survive. Whew.
How. And what do they do all day? Like you're literally.
They're probably looking for food all day. They're probably like hunting for food, looking
Yeah.
for shelter.
Yeah.
It reminds me like there's always these like survival stories like when like kids get stranded on an island. Like I wonder how they'll
Yeah.
do, you know?
Well, there was another crazy one. This was like many years ago, and I can't remember the full story or who exactly it was. But there was a plane that like something happened in the air, and a lady fell. Like it broke, and then the seat fell, and she like fell like I don't know 4,000 feet down to the jungle. It was the Amazon as well. She fell into the Amazon.
Oh my god.
Survived, and then survived another like 3 or 4 days in the Amazon before someone found her.
Because
Yeah.
like the Amazon also, we're talking not only the plane crash they survived,
Yeah.
not only starvation and looking for food they survived, but there's all kinds of creatures
Oh
and
my
shit.
god, it's so scary.
Like I don't even know what's out there.
Everything's not safe. You want to
Yeah.
you want to climb a tree. There's like fucking poisonous bugs,
Yeah.
spiders, snakes. Everything's like highly poisonous.
Yeah.
You want to go for a swim in the water. There's like fucking crocodiles.
Yeah.
There's fucking piranhas.
It is not a place for humans.
It is not a fun place.
No.
That's what I was like. 4 kids?
They need to write a book on how they survived.
I think she should.
Because I would like to see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take some notes.
She should write a journal before she forgets.
Seriously.
Like details.
Yes,
day
like this
by
is
day.
exactly what we did.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of luck was on their side, but still, like.
It would have to be. I mean, even just surviving the crash, that's luck already, you know?
Exactly.
Because like also too, it's like if you survive a crash in the rainforest, and it's like part of the problem too is like if you, for example, like cut something open or you like sliced your leg or your arm, your chance of getting infection when you're out in the jungle is like so much. And plus it's also like super humid, raining all the time.
Yeah.
Like it is not a fun situation to be in.
Right.
Oh.
Do you think though, partly because they're young, they got young bodies.
100%.
That might increase their chances of survival.
Their bones probably aren't as brittle as, I mean, they're not as like, I feel like, you know, like kids, they fall down, they bounce back up.
Yeah.
We fall down, we break a hip. You know, it's like very different.
So maybe that is something that helped. The age is crazy, but also the age might have helped.
Yeah, I think that's part of
Interesting.
it. Interesting.
Wow. I need to watch that.
Anyway,
there you go.
Little side story, guys.
It's getting cold here. I'll watch that on a random cold evening.
There you go.
All right. So next story.
Oh,
We've had this story. This thing broke out like insanity.
It went huge.
So viral. So Jake Paul, YouTuber turned boxer turned like UFC fighter maybe.
Yeah.
He had a battle. I don't even know how to use these terms with Mike Tyson.
He had a fight with Mike Tyson.
Yeah, he had a boxing match.
Yeah.
With the one and only Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And he won.
Yeah.
So Jake Paul won.
Yeah, but
and a few things in context.
Yeah.
Here. So first of all, this like blew up. I think the video like literally the day after had like 20 million views. Like it was insanity.
Yeah.
And there's been some talk about it could be fake. Like they could have faked the whole thing. I don't know how real that is. I mean, to be fair, boxing, is it real? Is it fake?
Yeah.
You know, is it? Neither of us know anything about boxing.
These are great questions, guys.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty controversial because first of all, Jake Paul is 27.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is, you know, obviously quite young and you're probably at the prime of your fitness level.
Yeah.
And then Mike Tyson, even though he was obviously a legendary boxer and like literally the best of its kind.
Yeah.
He's now 58 years old. So Buddy is old.
Yeah.
Like Buddy's like been retired for a long time, I think. So anyways, they did the fight.
Yeah.
Jake Paul won by judge's decision. That's what I heard.
That's what I also heard.
Again, I don't know anything about boxing.
Me neither.
It says Jake Paul seemingly admitted he was only trying to hurt Mike Tyson a little bit in their controversial fight, which the YouTuber won on points.
Yeah.
So Paul, 27, beat Tyson 58 after 8 2-minute rounds with the scorecards reading whatever in his favor. So this was Tyson's first professional contest since the heavyweight legend retired in 2005.
Crazy.
So we're talking almost 20 years ago he retired.
Yeah.
And then for some reason decided to do this, probably for money.
I was going to say they got paid a shit ton for this.
Yes, because like Jake Paul, like they've been doing this. Jake Paul, he's been fighting random like actual fighters, I think for a few years now.
Yeah, and he always goes like, and he'll make so much money from these fights.
Yes.
I heard he got like, I think 40 million for this.
Oh, probably. I mean, it was like the biggest thing ever. I don't know what it is about him and how he's able to draw such a crowd. Maybe it is because of the fact that this is like a YouTuber just randomly decided to
fight people.
Because I think he just started by being like, oh, I'm going to challenge so-and-so to a fight.
Yeah.
And then
there were some YouTubers that were fighting each other too. Where they were like, we had some technical difficulties
We had a technical difficulty, but we're back.
We back.
So a bunch of YouTubers fighting each other. A bunch of Minses just fighting each other.
They be in it for the money. They be making a lot of money.
So I guess like people love this idea of YouTuber, you know, turned fucking boxer. Or
I mean, it's a good revenue source, bros. Maybe you should be like, cheap, lazy, vegan takes on.
Hey, I'm cruelty free, okay? I don't believe in violence. So Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Now, a lot of people are saying it was
like
fake.
Yeah.
But I would be surprised.
Well, and people are saying, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, people were saying, because we actually talked about this in the office a little bit today. And some people were like on the fence of like, oh, we saw Tyson, like, I guess there's like a the build up to the fight where they'll be
Yeah.
like training and stuff, and everyone was like, oh my god, Mike Tyson's like a beast in his training videos.
Oh,
and then they felt like he held back against Logan.
Interesting.
And then other people are saying that Logan held back and that he wasn't fully like fighting and blah blah blah. And I'm like, you know what?
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, and who the fuck cares?
I would be surprised. I mean, obviously, again, I don't know. I thought wrestling's fake, right?
Most of it.
Most of that, that's fake.
Let's put it this way, Rose. If Tyson was also 27.
Oh yeah, no contest.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? That's why I was like, okay, the guy is 58. Okay, we're having a lot of technical difficulties today. Neither of us are prepared.
No, as
so anyways,
per usual.
I'm kind of like, okay, so yeah, if Tyson was in his 20s or even in his 30s, maybe even in his 40s, he would have beat him, no problem.
Exactly.
No contest. Some people are like, oh my God, it felt like elder abuse because like Tyson was just like, you know, so weak and just not, he was just not having it. And it's like, the thing is though, again, like maybe there's something I'm missing here. Maybe it's just money, but like I would be surprised if Mike Tyson agreed to to tarnish his reputation.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think many people blame him. Everyone knows he's old.
Yeah.
And everyone knows he was great. So nobody doubts that he's a great boxer. He's just fucking too old, right?
Exactly. Like
even Whitney Houston couldn't sing at the end of her fucking life.
But this is it. Like that's why I'm like, if you become the GOAT, okay?
Right. Greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time.
Look at you knowing the internet
right?
terminology. That would be a first.
Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted. No, I'm just kidding. But like people that become like the GOAT, you know, like they're like the best in their industry, the best in their like field. Someone like a Mike Tyson, someone like, you know, is it Serena Williams, like these types of like athletes that are so good. Eventually they're going to retire, which they, you know, he did.
Yeah.
It's like you've already retired with such good like stats and class.
Yeah.
Why are you coming back? Like I get it. You know, he probably I think he made like 20 million for it or something.
Maybe
so
he was bored.
Yeah, it could be that too. And he's probably just like, oh, let's do this for fun. But I just think like you're right. Like you don't want to tarnish. Not that it's tarnishing his reputation. Like, but it's like you retired with such a high. Like
I know.
It's like that concept. Like if you won all of these back-to-back games,
yeah,
right? You're done. You retire.
Yeah.
Don't come out of retirement because then you could lose and then you've broken your winning streak.
I know, but then I think like again, maybe he hasn't fought for a long time. He wants to challenge himself. He wants to see if he can win against a 20-something-year-old. Like there's probably a lot of psychology that goes into it.
Right.
And also if you are the greatest of all time, there's probably part of you that's like, I wonder if I'm still good. Like I wonder if I can still fight. So I can imagine that happening. So this is why I would be shocked if he agreed to fake him losing.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. Like I'm just feel like, again, I don't know anything about boxing. I don't know anything about Mike Tyson. I did hear that he was like beating his wife or something. There's some allegations about that.
Is Mike Tyson the one that was like that bit somebody's ear off?
But I don't know.
Was it Mike Tyson? I swear there was a boxer out there or something happened.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Or maybe that was someone
It's a bit
wrestling.
of an angry sport.
I know.
You know, you're punching people in the fucking face.
Maybe just do.
Did Mike Tyson bite someone's ear? Oh, he did. You're right.
Yeah.
Tyson infamously bit the ear of his opponent, Evander Holyfield, during a world title fight, a move that saw him disqualified. I hope so. God damn.
Yeah. So, I remember that happening and everyone was like...
So, the man, you know, he's a bit of a shady record.
Yeah. And he also, like... I remember him being in the... What was it? Wasn't he in The Hangover and he, like, owned some tigers or something? I don't know if it was, like, true.
Was it Mike Tyson? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I think it was Mike Tyson.
I haven't seen The Hangover in, like, since it came out, basically. So, I have no idea. Not my type of movie. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Anyway, so they had the fight. What do you guys think? Do you think it was faked? Do you think it wasn't? Do you not give a fuck? Because that's probably where you're at.
Exactly. Be like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. You know, why do we enjoy watching people getting punched in the face? That's another question. Who knows?
Asking the wrong audience here, Rose.
Exactly.
We need to get some straight mans.
Some men's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Men's love that shit. The men's is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the story of Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Apparently,
Okay.
you got to turn YouTuber to boxer to make some money around here.
God damn.
God damn.
Maybe I'll be boxing someone next.
Okay. So, I want to talk about this story. So apparently, a significant number of young adults get their news. I mean, honestly, this shouldn't be news, but, it's a little bit of a, significant number of young adults get their news from social media news influencers.
Interesting. Okay.
That generally don't have traditional journalism training or news experience, according to new data from Pew Research Center. Nearly 40% of young adults under 30 rely on these news influencers. So we're talking the Philip DeFrancos. We heavily rely on Philip DeFranco.
We do. Thank you, Philip.
Hopefully no one's relying on us for the news, because Lord Jesus, have mercy on your soul.
Take
if that
the wheel.
Nearly 40% rely on under 30 rely on news influencers. On current events and politics.
Yeah.
And then the vast majority of influencers, 77%, aren't affiliated with news organizations or have never worked in the news industry.
I feel mixed on this.
I'm also mixed.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see a problem with it, but also I don't know. What do you think?
I think the reason that, obviously there's two sides of the coin. On one hand, you're like, okay, they don't have traditional journalism, training, news experience. And obviously people go to school for that and they learn to try to be like not biased and all that kind of stuff, even though there's a lot of biases in media.
News,
and I think the problem is a lot of these media companies, whether or not the journalists have a certain bias, the media company does, right?
Yes.
So they're going to portray a certain stories. They're going to portray certain views. I mean, look at that story we just talked about the Colombian kids.
Totally.
We never heard about it.
Exactly.
I don't know. So I think there's that side of the media industry where I'm like, oh, it's a little bit tarnished and tainted. And you can really start to see it sometimes when you watch the news and you're like, oh, this is really like right wing, or this is very left wing, or this is very depending on
like traditional news.
Yeah, traditional news outlets. Whereas I think with influencers, okay, so number one, I think it can be bad that they're not necessarily traditional journalists because they're maybe not doing their proper research and doing all that sort of thing. At the same time, because they aren't affiliated with a big news organization, they're just putting their view forward, which might not be in line with traditional news media. I think a really good example of where more of these political influencers, what are we going to call them? Political pinfluencers? The pinfluencers.
Paul influencers?
Yeah. So a lot of this, so we look at the conflict that happened, that's ongoing in Israel.
Sure. Yes.
And I think that's a perfect example of up until recently, we relied so heavily, like when we were younger, we relied on the traditional media, which always portrayed Israelis in one way, right? Like that they were
usually a positive
in a positive light. They're the ones that are in the horrible Palestinians, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't until now with more like social media and these other pinfluencers that we actually got to see another side of the story. So I think in some ways it's kind of challenging the general media.
Yes.
I'm in the fence. I'm on the fence.
I know, I'm also on the fence
Yeah.
for exactly those reasons, because I think it is problematic for us to think that traditional news is not biased or that they're giving us all the right information, because we've seen time and time again things being reported that is just like they're just leaving out information depending on who owns the media company.
Exactly.
Like powerful people that are very rich, that have certain interests in mind, they own these media companies, these traditional media companies. So they're probably not going to hire any people with strong opinions or strong minds or people that actually want to make a big change. They're probably going to hire just kind of like people that go with whatever the status quo is. So, there are problems with traditional media. And I think a part of social media that is a good thing is that, we are able to just put it all out there, right?
Yeah.
But then we also get to, anyone and everyone can be a podcaster. Lo and behold,
Exactly.
us. Like anyone and everyone can start making fucking videos. And if you're engaging enough, if you're confident enough, you could convince people that you are, a trustworthy source. And then, maybe you are a trustworthy source, but we don't know for sure.
Exactly.
And this is where we're getting the rise of the Andrew Tates, the fucking Joe Rogan, it says here. People that are extremely popular and have people on and talk about, like Joe Rogan talks about like trending topics and like news and things like that.
Of course.
But it's like he's not a very reliable source. We've seen that time and time again.
Yeah, and I think another problem too is not so much with the pinfluencers themselves.
The pinfluencers.
We're gonna make this word happen, guys. Another part of the problem is also just the not the content, but the algorithms behind the content.
Yes.
That's another big problem, because what's happening, and this is even happening in traditional media that's put out into the social media space,
Right.
because all of these social media companies and all these companies, like, they have our algorithms of what data we're consuming, all of that sort of thing. They know what keeps us on the apps for longer, so they're going to promote that content to us specifically. The problem with that is it's creating more extreme views, because, you know, over time, if you're constantly reinforced with the same, like Andrew Tate's, for example, you see all this kind of content in line with that starts to taint your view, because you don't get any conflicting
Right.
opinions or other sides to the coin.
Right. But then also, see, this is like it's a very, very
complex
issue. So that happens. But then also in traditional media as well, if you watch like CNN, for example, you're on the CNN channel. What are the chances you're turning on Fox News? So that's another, you know, so were people getting, you know, a wide range of views before as well?
Yeah.
Who knows, right? Like it's hard to compare.
And also, too, remember, we talk about biases and of these media companies. What we have to remember as well is a lot of them, like newspapers included, that was another form of media.
Yeah.
Newspapers, news channels, they also are like, they want to...
They're a business.
They're a business. That's where
Yes.
I'm going. Yeah, they're a business. So, of course, they're going to have the hard-hitting stories.
Yes.
They're going to have all this stuff. And they might leave out a lot of other things.
Exactly, for
Yeah.
sure. Like something that may not get as many clicks or views or buys or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not going to have that on the front fucking page.
No.
Right? But at the same time, I don't know what, like, I don't know if we're in a better situation. It's hard for me to say, because I feel like the way that our politics have turned and the way that our world has changed, it's not in a direction that I would like.
Yeah.
So I'm almost thinking, are we going, you know, is this not a good, but
Are we
then
going in the wrong
can we just
direzione?
blame the social media aspect?
It's way more complicated.
I know.
Because I think a big part of the, like, if we're talking about the Trump election and everything, or the political election that happened, a lot of it, obviously there's social media part of it, but I think a big part of it, which we talked about on the last podcast, is just the frustration of economic factors and things like that.
Right.
Like, people are, you know, at the brink, and they're like, they want to see change, right? So they're
Right.
they're
So that could be part of
misdirecting.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's combined with all of this other
Sure.
stuff is creating some really scary situations.
Yeah, it's saying here, in the 2 weeks since Trump's victory, political pundits have questioned whether traditional news organizations are losing relevance as more Americans turn to social media, and content creators specifically, to stay abreast of current events. Elon Musk, the world's richest man and owner of the social network X, has pushed this narrative aggressively. Excuse me. Okay. Let me just... The reality of this election was plain to see on X, while most legacy media lied relentlessly to the public. So he's saying that social media is like the way forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's easy for you to say, Mr. I peddle misinformation left, right, and center,
And also
all over Twitter.
And also, of course, I'm going to promote social networks. I own one.
Yeah, literally. Exactly.
So, like...
Exactly. So it's just kind of, I don't know what's better. But then another factor is, like, if people are upset with their living situation, right?
Yeah.
And again, they're seeing one video about, maybe it's the immigrants. And then again, they're fed more information to completely basically confirm their view, even though it may be wrong. Now they're fed more. So then it does kind of like maybe exacerbate the problem.
It would.
And even with like men, like we talked about, like a lot of men, young men especially, turning a lot more right wing.
Yeah.
Again, these are men spending a lot of time, like usually it's like lonely men that have not much else to do, and they're spending hours on Twitter, on fucking Reddit, and they're just like, you know, just digging deeper and deeper into the internet hole.
Oh God.
And it's like, you know, like it's a big problem. I do think
Huge
that
problem.
aspect, like the young men, I think the social media, the online stuff is the bulk of the reasoning.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think you might be right, Rose.
Yeah. I think I'm right.
That's an interesting theory. We should put a thesis together and do a study.
Oh God, it's scary. Really is, isn't it? Oh God, Lord Jesus.
Pardon me.
It's a bit scary. So yeah, I don't know what the reality is.
I mean, we'll just have to. I guess we're on this roller coaster together, and we're going to see what happens, guys. Whether or not we get derailed, that's another question.
Whether or not, we've already derailed.
Yes, we're derailed, and now we're just trying to get back on the track, and it just isn't happening.
A little bit of space news.
Ooh.
Scientist claims NASA may have accidentally killed all life on Mars.
How they kill it?
So it is. This is important to note that this is one scientist.
Yeah.
Okay, so it could be completely false.
Yeah.
But a scientist has said NASA may have accidentally killed life on Mars during a research mission to find it. For decades, scientists have been trying to find any signs of life on the red planet with no conclusive evidence as of yet. Astrobiologist Dirk Schultzmekirch, it's a German name, it's a bit difficult.
Mr. Dirk.
He said that the Viking landers became the first U.S. mission to land safely on and explore Mars in 1976, blah, blah, blah. That may be the closest we've ever come to finding it. He speculates the methods of finding life may have been destructive in itself. And so basically, they identified small amounts of chlorinated organics, initially believed to be contamination from Earth.
The Viking experiments, what did I say? The Viking experiments, which involved adding water to soil samples, might have overwhelmed these potential microbes, leading to their demise.
Right.
But I would imagine it's just going to be a point in time in Mars. It's not going to wipe out life on the entire planet if there was, life.
Right.
Yeah.
So they went on to explain how the potential microbes might have been overwhelmed. So it's a lot of science talk. So I guess they're saying they were doing these experiments and there's a chance that because of these experiments, they've wiped out
these microbiomes.
I guess.
Just us destroying another planet.
I know. I was just thinking that too.
It's interesting to me. Like, space is another thing that really freaks me out.
Yeah, it's
because like when you start to dissociate, or not dissociate, but when you start to think like, guys, we are literally on a planet, on a piece of dust, floating.
I know.
In the air.
I know.
Like, we're just floating, Rose.
We're just floating
in the black, endless.
Oh God! Stop.
Black,
Daniel,
endless.
I beg you, don't smoke any weed tonight.
I'm not going to.
Because I know you're going to have a spiral.
The interesting thing that I always find is how adamant people are. Like, there's some people, well, not all people, but a lot of people are like, oh, Earth is the only planet that has life on it. And it's like, life as we know it. But like, come on, guys. If you look at watch a YouTube video, do yourself a favor, watch a YouTube video where it shows our galaxy, our solar system, and it starts to zoom out. And it shows you kind of where scientists are going with all this and how big that they think the universe could be, which is infinite. And it kind of just keeps going. And eventually you get to this point where it's like, we are literally less than a speck of dust in this huge universe. Don't tell me that in that massive,
endless
universe of billions and billions of planets and stars and suns and solar systems and all sorts, that there's not life anywhere else.
It doesn't make any sense.
Come on.
I mean, it still fascinates me that we even discovered that we live on a planet.
I know.
It just, even the whole space thing, I'm like, how did we ever figure that one out?
I know, it's crazy.
God damn, and yet we still elected Trump as president in 2024. Like, this is what I mean. Like, we're like very smart as a species as a whole, like historically speaking. But some of the choices we're making, Jesus Christ.
Oh God, it's so bad. But yeah, space, and that's another pool that Mr. Musk has his finger in.
I know,
He
right?
now has a space company, SpaceX.
God, the man is insane.
He is. I think he's a narcissist.
Yes, he's 100% a narcissist.
Every time I see him talk, he
scares
the
shit out of me. I know he's very strange.
Oh, his face, everything.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't with this
And like,
man.
there's a lot of talk about how like he just comes from a lot of money. He's a nepo baby.
He does.
He just had a lot of money, so you could buy all these companies and have these crazy ideas, and like, people had to execute these for him.
Well, and this is the thing. When you get to that kind of wealth and you're buying these companies and you're the CEO, or you're the owner, no one can challenge you. So even if you're having these fucked up ideas, people are just going to be like, well, I still want my paycheck. So let's do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ugh.
But a lot of people think he's like a genius. And I'm like, you know what? If you think Elon Musk is a genius, you need to get the fuck out of here, please. Yeah. Okay? There is something very wrong with that man.
There is.
Anyways.
Not sure what it is, but
so anyway, it's really interesting because it's like, I guess, how like there was all this talk about like, let's move to Mars.
Yes.
But, and again, I do not pay attention to NASA news. Okay. Not very caught up with NASA news.
Are you not?
But it's like, I would have thought that there was a little bit more that we have done on Mars for us to be so confident that we can like go and live there. But it sounds based on this observation that we still know jack shit.
Pretty much.
Because they were like, these have been the only biological experiments performed on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
So really, we don't know anything.
Exactly. And I mean, it doesn't surprise me because think about it. Like even on our own planet,
That's true.
We know more. Like there's so many things that are unknown about even us. Like we know more about the ocean than we do about our brains. But actually, we know not that much about the ocean either.
Oh, do we know more about the ocean than we know about our brains?
I think so.
Interesting. How do we measure that knowledge?
I don't know. I don't know, guys.
Because I thought the ocean was like very...
Or maybe we know more about our brain than we do the ocean.
I think so. Actually, who knows?
There was like a quote. I can't remember the quote,
because like we don't know anything about the ocean.
There's so much
compared to how
unknown.
much ocean there is.
I know that, like literally, it's kind of
Right.
it's scary.
It's
like,
scary.
There's so much vastness in the ocean that we haven't even explored.
Right. So even on our planet, we don't know what the fuck is going on.
Exactly.
Let alone do we know what's going on in fucking Mars? Like how the fuck far
Let
is Mars?
alone our galaxy and solar system.
Even the idea of having our solar system and then the galaxy and the fucking multiple galaxies and the fucking endless goddamn solar systems. Like how many fucking solar systems are there?
Millions.
Exactly.
But you know what also scares me? Like, because we're floating in this, like, floating on this.
I beg you, Daniel, please don't smoke weed tonight.
I'm not going to. But like, you know what kind of scares me? It's like, what would happen if like, because we're just floating, something like hits our sun and like causes it to like fucking...
I mean, these things happen.
I know, and then it will just explode. Like it could happen.
Like, didn't some shit explode and then that's why everything died and then restarted and fucking happened?
Well, the theory is a meteor hit our planet. But you're right, like because
the
we're
Big
just
Bang.
like exactly because we're just floating around. Like there's probability that things could hit us
Yeah, something could just literally just wipe us out
tomorrow
in a millisecond. We don't know, and we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Daniel, why you gotta do this?
That's
you always
scary.
do this. You always
I know.
drop like this fucking scary thing that could potentially happen, and then I freak out for days on end.
Well, hey, if we don't kill ourselves with climate change, like a meteor is coming for us, so don't worry. Rose.
Well, the thing is, people are saying, we might wipe out all life on Earth, but it'll probably come back.
Yeah, this is very
so
true.
like really, we're just ruining ourselves and the animals on this planet.
Exactly.
But eventually, life will which again, that also fucking fascinates me.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean life comes back? What do you mean like fucking cockroaches can survive anything?
Yeah. Well, it's because what happens is certain organisms, no matter what,
can survive.
Nothing ever gets completely wiped out generally, right? Like there's always something that kind of survives.
And but what came first? Life? Earth?
The Big Bang?
The Big Bang? What came first, Daniel?
I don't know.
And how many planets have we really learned anything about?
Not that many.
Because we got our, we got the lineup of planets here.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me the order, I forgot.
All circling around our sun based on some gravitational pull.
So, and we've done as much space exploration as humanly possible up to this point, but we still don't know jack shit about all these other planets.
Yeah.
And all right, we had another hiccup.
Guys, we had another technical malfunction.
That was Daniel's fault.
Okay.
So I had one fault. He had two faults.
I don't
just put that out there. Anyways, so yeah, the space thing freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Don't want to think about it. Sometimes I wish, that saying, ignorance is bliss?
Yes.
Why do we have to go there?
Yes.
Sometimes I'm just like, I just want to live my life. I don't want to know this information. I feel like knowledge has fucked us over, like psychologically. This is why like all of us humans were like depressed as fuck.
Yeah.
And like we get anxiety.
Because think about it. If we didn't know any of this stuff, we would just be living our lives.
Yes.
We'd just be like chilling. And
even the concept of like, I'm sure every animal maybe knows that they're going to die. Oh, do they? I don't know. But like the concept of like age and like how we're getting older and like how we die at a certain age. Like, do I have to know the fucking life expectancy or can I just live my fucking life?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Food for thought there, guys.
Food for thought.
So one last story. We're going to leave you with a very depressing story.
Fun.
China, guys. They're this massive country of China that many people don't know much about, including myself.
Yeah.
There has been a mass stabbing where 8 people were killed.
Damn.
And 17 injured in eastern China. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So, stabbing attack on a college campus.
Oh, that's sad.
Oh,
can you imagine if someone did that at UFC?
Dude, it is so scary.
Yeah.
Eastern China on Saturday. So it has shaken the nation because it's used to low rates of violent crime, which is very interesting because this is like giant country here. tons of people living in this giant country, yet somehow they have really low rates of violent crime.
Yeah.
The attack took place around 6:30 p.m. at the Wuxi Vocational Institute of Arts and Technology in the city of Yixing in Jiangsu province. Oh my God. I gotta learn some Chinese. So the video verified by CNN shows several people lying motionless on the ground. So basically, a suspect detained at the scene was a recent graduate who was motivated by failing an exam, not receiving a graduation certificate, and a dissatisfaction with internship compensation. Oh my God.
You know, the thing is, though, is, I mean, I'm not condoning this behavior, right?
I hope not, Daniel.
No, this is wild. I think that we obviously we wouldn't do this, but like I think that there's also this like in China in particular, there's this insane pressure.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying that any of this is good, but like there's an insane pressure to be successful.
Sure.
And to have the top grades and if you don't do it, you actually bring dishonor to your family.
Right.
And I feel like because of that extra pressure, there's so many factors that we don't know about that would influence someone's behavior.
Sure.
But to be fair, like you said, they're a big country with a lot of people under the same pressure, and yet they have the lowest rate of violent crime. So not everyone goes down this route. I just think like from our perspective, or like even especially mine growing up here in Canada, it's like I wouldn't understand the pressures that person was under.
Right.
I would slightly like for me, if I failed an exam, it's like my parents wouldn't care. You know?
Yeah, we wouldn't understand.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it's not obviously it's not an excuse, but you're trying 100%. You're trying to understand kind of what the fuck, right? Yeah. So the attack is the latest mass casualty incident to hit China, a country of 1.4 billion people that has one of the lowest rates of violent crime in the world.
Oh, ironically, partly due to its strict gun controls and powerful mass surveillance.
See, this is what's interesting because I know that, like, you know, in North America, we're taught to hate communism, like, fuck communism.
Yeah.
And obviously China is like, I mean, I don't think it's a communist country per se necessarily, even though that's the claim.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more, you know, government controls in place. And, you know, obviously there's pros and cons to all of that. But I think it's really stupid for us to look at what's going on in countries like USA, for example, versus countries like China or countries like, you know, with different political policies and completely say one ideology is completely fucking evil, like communism so evil and capitalism is like the way forward. When you see stats like this, you have to objectively say, okay, that side of things, they're obviously doing something right.
Exactly.
Like gun controls, strict gun controls, and powerful mass surveillance. Anyways, again, there's pros and cons to the mass surveillance, but hey, when it comes to, you know, violent crime, it obviously decreases it significantly.
And I'm sure there's stats too, because I know, for example, the UK has a lot of, they call it the CCTV cameras.
Oh, yes.
Which never seem to be working when you need them to.
Yeah.
But anyway, the CCTV, which is in a lot of places, and I think it has had an impact on violent crime.
It must have, because
it will if you think, oh, there's cameras around here, or they're just strategic and they're like, I know the camera's there, so I can do something over here. But I don't know.
I know Korea has a shit ton of CCTVs. Yeah, it's a huge thing.
Well, and the thing is with the CCTV. Again, I know there's some people will be like, it takes away your right, you're being watched, blah 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 blah. But like, let's say a violent crime was to happen, even if it didn't get caught on camera, because there's cameras around that area, you can then get like a timestamp and then see who is like crossing these areas. And then you start to narrow down your suspect list, right? Because you're like, okay, I know all these people were in that area at that time.
Yeah.
They might, didn't physically see them on the camera doing the crime, but they passed this camera on this time. Let's investigate.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really see a problem with CCTVs in like public spaces. I think the only time I think what people are afraid of, which might be not logical, or maybe it is logical, is like government using that footage for like wrong reasons or trying to control things. But when it comes to monitoring, you know, criminals
and the streets,
I mean, we all out on the streets.
We work in those streets.
You know, I want to be protected on the streets. So don't do shady shit is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
I don't know, but obviously, you know, they don't have a lot of violent crime. They're doing something right. I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously the gun control and the surveillance is probably an explanation. But yeah, I mean, for a country that is, probably has more stress on students.
Yeah. For a country that has more people than the USA.
Yeah. Tons more people. Like, we're talking like what, 4 times more people, 3 times, 4 times?
I think almost 4 times.
Yeah,
probably.
4 times more people than the U.S.
Yeah.
Has low rates of violent crime.
Mm-hmm.
And again, and we're also talking about a country with lots of men as well.
Yeah.
Like lots of young, because like now they have a problem. Because I remember, when we were growing up, like a lot of people my age, I think when we were born,
Yeah.
they had that one child policy.
Right. And they wanted a boy.
They wanted a boy because
Yeah.
everybody wants a boy because it's Asia and everyone's obsessed with boys.
Yeah.
But that's backfiring now because, and again, so during that time when people had girls, either they were undocumented, like they wouldn't like acknowledge.
Yeah.
Because when you had more than one child, you had to like pay a fine or a tax or something.
And if you couldn't afford it, then
Exactly, then you're
yeah.
fucked. So either a lot of girls got abandoned.
I heard about this.
Yeah,
It's so
a lot of
sad.
girls got abandoned or even like killed, like horrible things happened.
Yeah.
Or they were undocumented because like nobody wanted a girl.
Yeah.
But now it's like they have a fucking shit ton of boys, a ton of grown men,
Yeah.
and not as much women.
Yeah.
So
they weren't forethinking. They're thinking, hey, a man
Yeah.
to bring forward the family name. Well, they can't do that if there ain't no women
Yeah, so
for them
the
to have kids with.
exactly.
Takes 2 to make a child.
Exactly.
God damn, they may not be forward thinking.
Yeah. But like, we're
Good.
we're talking about a country with a lot of men
Mhm.
and still low rates of violent crime.
So
So
interesting.
it's very
Rose.
interesting.
We should do a case study on China.
We should do a case study. It's a very fascinating. It's because it's such a big country, right?
I
It's
really
like,
want to go.
I think it'd be really interesting. I've
would
been
be.
seeing a lot of videos about China, and I think it'd be interesting. But I think I would be very concerned with the vegan food.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Like I would have to.
I'm sure Shanghai and Beijing would be.
Yeah,
fun.
I think like if you go to like a big city
Yeah.
and like especially if you go with someone that's like speaks the language.
That's another thing too. I think you'd need
Yeah.
someone that was fluent in
I
Mandarin.
know. It's just so overwhelming to me. Like the
Yeah.
idea of China is very overwhelming.
Well, and I think also it's just like, I mean, Asia in general, but like China as well. It's like, to me, the reason I get overwhelmed, well, one is obviously I don't speak the language.
Yeah.
But also there's just so many people.
So many people.
All the time.
Huge
everywhere.
country.
Yeah.
Like, and because it's such a big country, it's just like, it's like kind of similar to Russia where I'm like, I don't even want to go there because it's a big country. Like, don't even know how to get there.
I really wanted to, one of the things I wanted to do, I don't know if I still want to do it because of all this shit that goes on in Russia, but I wanted to take the Trans-Siberian like train.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Because it goes like all across, I think, Russia.
Oh.
And I think it's a passenger train.
I mean, I heard Russia's really cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. It just seems very unattainable. I don't know what it is.
I think for me, I would just feel unsafe there.
Right.
Because there's not very, I mean, obviously.
Because of the homosexuals.
They don't like
They don't like the homosexuals.
Well, according to them, homosexuals don't exist and there's none in Russia.
Oh yeah. I would be a bit scared about that.
Yeah, because I was like, well, one, I couldn't go with if I had a partner. We wouldn't be able to go together, or we could go as friends.
Yeah.
But then if we get caught,
God damn, is there a lot of like violence against the homosexuals?
think
Oh
there
goddamn, don't go
is.
there, Daniels.
Be
You gotta be
sad as
careful.
hell. Be sad
There's
as
plenty of
hell.
other countries to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, guys, there's the story. And on that positive note.
On that positive note, guys, we are ending this episode. If you're not already, don't forget to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/the SaVeg podcast for exclusive content a week before everybody else, ad-free content. It's great fun over there.
Yeah.
Links in the show notes. If you're watching us on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to hit follow. Also hit subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. And what else, Rose?
And make sure you join us in the Canadian Rockies for our hiking and camping trip. All vegan, of course. We're going to be staying in Banff, Kananaskis. We're going to go to Lake Louise. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. Get the details in the link below. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for watching or listening. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.